Welcome everyone. In this video we are going to be installing a GeForce RTX 3060 graphics card, and from there we'll be installing Conda so we can work in a virtual environment on our server, and then the final step will be installing the latest version of TensorFlow, which is 2.15. So we're working with a fresh install of Fedora Linux. That would be 39. And I have installed, I've run updates on the server, so that would be DNF update. And also I've installed the GNOME desktop. So let's go ahead and get started. The first thing we need to do is install the kernel source. So we will do and I'm logged in to my server as root, and we'll be required to do that in order to install updates or packages onto the on the server. So let's do a DNF group install and development tools. This will take a minute to run, so once it gets going I will pause and return when it's finished. This will download and then it'll begin the installation afterwards. Okay, and done. Alright, our next step will be to install some Nvidia libraries. There are prerequisites that are required before installing the Nvidia drivers for the graphics card. So let's go ahead and do that. So this will be a DNF install. And let's see, DKMS, AC pin, and let's see, third one is GLX, and then libgl, VND, OpenGL, libgl, VND, devel, and package config. Let's go ahead and hit enter. And this will also take a minute to run after I kick it off, so I'll pause while that happens and come back when it returns or when it's complete. Yes, enter. And complete. So our next step is to disable the Nouveau drivers. They're the default drivers, video drivers on the system. They need to be disabled before installing the Nvidia drivers. They'll conflict, and the Nvidia drivers will the installation will fail. So we have to disable those before we start. So let's go ahead and run that command, or those commands. I'm going to do an echo. Blacklist Nouveau, and we're going to create the denylist.conf file. So we will check this out, proper syntax, make sure it's spelled properly, and enter. Okay, so the next step is to run another echo command. So options, Nouveau, mode set equals 0, and we are going to append that to the same file that we created in the previous step. So and denylist.conf. Okay, and we are good. So the third part that we need to complete to disable the drivers is to edit the grub file. So let's do a vi etc default grub, and we'll arrow down to command line Linux, grub command line Linux, arrow to the end of that line, hit A, space, and we will enter modprobe.blacklist, and equals nouveau, and then we'll do an escape, colon, right quit, exclamation, to save that file. And let's just do a check here to just to show what we're looking at. So these are the default nouveau drivers that are running on the system now. So we're going to reboot so that these changes can take effect. Well, actually not yet. We have 2 more steps. First thing before we reboot, we need to run this command to begin the process of regenerating the grub file with the new entries. And I'll pause while this completes. It'll take a minute. All right, and complete. So the final step is to regenerate the grub file. So we'll do a grub2 make config -o. That'll be boot EFI caps. Make sure you have the proper and then Fedora grub.cfg, and this will generate the new grub file. All right, and we're good. So our next step will be to reboot so these new settings can take effect. So we'll do a init 6, and I will be back when this is complete. Okay, so we've rebooted successfully. Let's go ahead and do an lsmod to confirm that our drivers, the nouveau drivers, have been disabled. And yes, they have successfully been disabled. All right, so our next step will be to install our Nvidia drivers for our graphics card. So let me do a check here real quick. And yes, I've copied those over already to my machine. I've downloaded them. So to get the drivers, we'll go to new. Nvidia drivers, go to Nvidia driver download, and then we'll select our GPU here. In my case, it's 3060, and this will be for Linux, so we'll do Linux 64-bit, and the rest will be default. We'll do a search, and then we'll download this driver. Once it's downloaded, we'll copy it over to our Linux machine and then prepare it to be installed. So let's go ahead and do a move. I like copying these files over to my downloads over to my user local source. Move user local source and the same file name, and we will hit enter. Now we'll CD to user local source. Do an ls. It's there. So our next step is to change the permissions and the ownership of the file. So we will do a chown root. That should be a colon root. And enter. And then we will do chmod for the permissions, and in this case we will do a 755 to the same file. So let's see, do an ls-l, and that is executable and it's owned by root. So we're good there. We'll do a // and we will run this file. Begin installing the drivers. While we're waiting for this, I'd like to remind you to like my videos and sign up for or subscribe to my channel. Hopefully we're doing stuff that's helpful for people, and the plan is to continue to do videos that will help successfully complete various tasks. So again, please subscribe, like my videos. And 32-bit compatibility, yes. Register with DKMS, yes. And we're getting to the tail end of the installation here. So let's see. Run the xconfig utility, yes. And we are complete. We successfully installed the driver, so we'll hit OK. And we are done. I'm going to go ahead and reboot this just for the heck of it, just to make sure everything initializes properly. So init 6, enter, and I will return when it comes back up. All right, and we are back. Again, we're logged in as root. So for the next step, we are going to install Conda, and then we're going to create a virtual environment. So first step will be DNF install Conda, enter. We'll hit yes. This shouldn't take too long, so okay, and done. So for this next step, I'm going to go ahead and exit out of my terminal and then log back in. All right. Let me expand my window here. Right. Whoops. Okay, now the next step is to create our virtual environment. So we'll do a Conda create -n for name, and we'll name this TensorFlow. And we will be using Python 3.9 for this environment. So let's go ahead and hit enter. This will take a second, so once everything comes up, everything's collected, I'll return. I'll pause for now and then return, and when we're ready to continue. All right, so we'll go ahead and hit yes here. Come on. Yes. And this should begin downloading and installing the packages for this environment. This may take a minute. There you go. And complete. Let's see if we can go into our environment without reinitializing the user's profile. So let's see. And yes, we can. So you can see here with the TensorFlow on the left-hand side of the prompt, this indicates that we're in our virtual environment now. So that's good. The next step will be installing TensorFlow. I did a video on TensorFlow 2.10 a while back, and the installation of this is slightly different. So we'll go ahead and do a pip install, caps lock, pip install TensorFlow bracket and dash CUDA closed bracket, and enter. And this will take a minute to collect all of the packages and begin the installation. I'm going to go ahead and pause until we this is complete. Okay, and installation is complete. So we have TensorFlow with GPU support installed and all of the prerequisite packages that go along with that. Let's do a pip list. So we have TensorFlow down here, and then we have our Nvidia drivers, CUDA and CUDNN, that are required by TensorFlow for GPU support. So let's go ahead and let's do a clear. And I'm also going to install matplotlib. So pip install matplotlib, enter. So we can chart our models so we can see what kind of progress we're making when we're creating them. So one day this will finish. And let me pause here real quick while we're waiting so we don't waste time on video. And complete. So we've installed matplotlib, and that's it for the TensorFlow install with GPU support. Well, let's go ahead and set our path or export our path. So let's do a LD library path. Conda prefix. Lib. And we'll go ahead and hit enter. And our next step will be to, so I have a TensorFlow script that I've created we can test with. And we're going to need to do a couple of steps on our Windows machine to be able to successfully run the script. So let's go ahead and bring up the browser here. Let's do xming download so we can export our display to our our Windows machine. And let's see. We will do public domain release. So we'll download that. Okay. Let's go ahead and minimize this, go into our downloads folder, and we'll double click on that. Yes, next, next, normal, which is the default option here, next, next, and let's create a desktop icon, next, and install. All right, and you can hear it's automatically launched because I checked that box, or that box was checked when I ended the installation, or when I finalized the installation. All right, and our next step is to go into PuTTY. Let's load our saved login for the Linux server. We'll do a load. We'll go down here on the left-hand side to SSH, into the X11 option. We'll checkbox X11 forwarding. So we'll checkbox the enable X11 forwarding, and we'll put in the space here, localhost :0. We'll go back up here to session, and we will save our configuration. So we should still have this set. There it is. And we're good. So let's go ahead and minimize this. Let's go ahead and open a new window. Just confirm this is set just to make sure we're good. And let's go ahead and do open. And we'll log in as our demo user. Okay. And we will enter our virtual environment. So we'll do a Conda activate TensorFlow, which is what we named our environment. Enter. We've successfully entered it. Let's go ahead and arrow up. And I'm not seeing it, so let's go ahead and export our path again. building library path, colon, and then Conda prefix. All right, and then lib. Enter. All right, so let's do an ls here. All right, I have a TensorFlow folder that I copied over that I had stored all of my previous test files for TensorFlow in. That'll be our home directory for this virtual environment. So we'll go into that, do an ls and see what's in here, and we'll do the run the script again. So we do see our graphics card. Let's scroll up here a little bit and check out all of this. Everything looks like it's running successfully, or it loaded successfully. And we're completed 10 epics. So we should be seeing our graphs come up here in a second. All right. So this is what you'll be doing if you're creating TensorFlow models. You'll be charting the results after running your script, and then you'll modify your script based on what these show, so you can improve your trading accuracy of your models. So let's go ahead and close these, and we are done. So I think, yeah, we're complete. We've completed the installation process. We've run it successfully. We're able to see our GPU, and it's been running, and this ran off of the GPU. We have one no such file or directory here. This isn't critical to successfully running a TensorFlow script, so we're not worried about that. As far as everything else, it looks good. So I think we're done. So, well, let me just say what I said before. If you like my videos, please subscribe to my channel, like my videos, and I'll continue to post as often as I can. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time.